All right. We will start with the third and last speaker of this batch. I'm excited and very happy that Peter Bartels is here. Peter is PwC member of the board and head of the unit Family Enterprises and Medium-Sized Companies. His talk today is called Future Us, How Companies Succeed in Disruptive Times. Your stage, Peter.
Thanks, Michael. So am I on the mic? No, I don't think so. Could you turn it up? Yeah. Yeah? Okay, now it works. Okay, it feels a little bit standing here like Gildo Horn. I don't know who remembers Gildo Horn, the famous songwriter and singer who had the song You Are There and I Am Here. So
please
maybe
come a bit closer, maybe that would be great. Then you can see also his slides a bit better.
Maybe I come a little bit closer.
That's amazing.
So the title, as announced, is How Companies Succeed in the Future. When I mention companies, I have to admit I really love family businesses. I'm passionate about the German Mittelstand. And when I talk to my clients, one question in the room quite often is, will we succeed in the future, or will the startups take over and take it all? I personally believe there won't be one specific winner. Startups and corporates have to team up in order to be successful in the future. That's for both. The title of the conference is Society Disrupted. And we not only see disruption in society, but in economy and technology as well. That's why we as PwC set up several think tanks last year, consisting of scientists, family business owners, and startup founders, in order to discuss what are the major trends for family businesses in the next 20 to 30 years. Oh, that's difficult. If you are interested, you find it in the book F-Cube for Family Future. What we found out is that there are 18 main trends and 6 in each area: technology, society, economy. What I will do is now touch base on 2 of them: new business models and startup spirit. Why? Because I believe that's most important for family businesses to survive. You have to have a sound business model that is appealing for your customers, and you need the newest technologies, again, in order to survive, maybe by collaborating with startups. When it comes to new business models, many advisors recommend focus on client centricity and customer journey. The problem is, many traditional businesses don't have any idea what you are talking about when you mention customer journey, or, for good reasons, they claim we focused on the customer for decades already. But the truth is, quite often, they were not passionate about the customer, but the product. And let me give you one example. You see the dental braces in the background. What is the customer journey when you have to get dental braces? In the past, many dentists were focused on or striving for producing the technically best braces. But when it comes to customer journey, you have to ask, what experience is the patient making once he or she is entering the dentist surgery and leaving it again? And if you think of your own experience, anybody who had braces when he or she was a kid? I think so. So think of what was your worst experience. I can tell you mine. It was the moment when the dental assistant tried to take my dental imprint by inserting this silver spoon filled with pink or blue paste. Why was it bad? A bad customer experience? Because you either immediately started to throw up, or you thought this spoon will never get out again, or third option, if it comes out, at least with 2 or 3 of your teeth. So, why do I tell this story? Because I'm convinced these processes will be disrupted by new technologies. That's a general rule. And that's why the advice is traditional companies really have to analyze what are the processes that cause their customers to throw up. And sorry for that expression, but I really try to make it very pragmatic when I talk to clients. You have to analyze what processes make your customers to throw up. And I'm really convinced they quite fast will come up with many results, and if not they themselves, it will be the competitors. So let's talk about startup spirit. And again, an example. Imagine you are a paint producer. And when you are a paint producer, what new technology are you seeking for? What would you like to have, love to have? I believe it would be a digital granulate. And it's not unlikely that in some years it will be possible to kind of paint simultaneously your classical canvas, classical linen picture and a picture on the iPad, a digital twin. And research says it's just a couple of years ago in the future. The good thing is you can really paint your picture, start on the canvas, go home, sit on the couch, and then draw it to the end on your iPad. Simultaneously, it will transfer it to the canvas. Again, why do I talk about that example? Because a cooperation with startups that is looking for new technology means you really have to figure out what new technologies are most likely to win in the future. And you shouldn't start a cooperation with a startup just because it's cool and because all your friends are doing it. You definitely have to initiate a structured process. And what does it look like? What we said before, analyze your processes and the use cases of your customers. What are the core processes? Step one. Step two, ask yourself what processes are most likely to be disrupted by new technologies. In our example, the paint producer, he or she could say it's most likely it will be disrupted because, for example, people who are commuting every day, it's too inflexible for them to use the traditional way of painting. They want to have it digitally enabled. Once you have this process, you have to figure out there might be several technologies as a solution, and then you have to bet which one will be the winner in the future. It's a bet. And when you have made this bet, you have to go out and screen what startups apply these technologies and try to collaborate with them. Advantage for you, sure, access to new technologies, new ways of working. The advantages for the startups, sure, it's clients, customers, that's what they are desperately looking for, and maybe access to capital as well. Last point, very shortly, the attraction of new talent. So the question is, will traditional businesses be enabled in the future to recruit sufficient talent? There's hope. Scientists say there can be two trends enabled by digitization that family businesses will be successful in the future as well. One is the so-called neo-nomads. These are people who work wherever they want to, who live wherever they want to. They use digitization to be enabled to work for any company, anywhere, and that's an advantage for family businesses as well. The other trend is the so-called Village 4.0, a high-performing digital infrastructure that we don't have yet in Germany, but hopefully in a couple of years, would enable family businesses to attract talent in the region, in the province, and to make the formula successful, old family business and livable village. And there's something, and that's why I love family businesses, that they can offer that many other companies don't offer. And that's bonding and home. And I'm sure that many of the young people here and inside are looking for bonding and home in the future as a reaction to the title of the conference, Disruptive Society. So thanks for your attention. Maybe you have some questions. I hope it was an inspiring keynote.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Oh, this is...
I can tell you come from the corporate world. You're like super sharp, 3 minutes ahead of time. I think that's very good. We haven't had a speaker who has finished before.
I thought it's a bad customer experience if you really are above the 12.
There you go. I like the way you think. Okay, great. No, it's amazing. We just put 2 minutes on top of the questions. I have a lot. Does any one of you here have any questions? Oh, great. I'll come down running.
Thank you. That was very interesting overview, and I think especially in Hamburg, many people would like to hear that positive outlook for family-owned businesses, right? My question would be, where do you see the whole trend of intrapreneurship? I mean, especially when talking about family businesses over many generations, you have new generations who wants to start their own business. We heard a lot about Verena Balsen, for example, who've done many things good and others not yet. But I mean, that's a trend as well, right? So where do you put that as an opportunity for family-owned businesses?
Yes, I'm happy that you added the last sentence as an opportunity, because I really believe it can be an opportunity for the cooperation of elder generation and younger generation. In the past, we had the challenge when we talked about succession in the family business. The elder generation didn't want to let go, and the younger ones then could take over when they got 60. I really do have these examples. Now, digitization is really a good topic where naturally kind of responsibility can be divided by elder generation, younger generation. That's something that's not too difficult to accept for the elder generation. And you can really start to kind of figure out a new business model in parallel to the old business model, and then later on bring it together. I mean, you mentioned Balsen, or today again Verena Pauster is one of the famous next-gen ladies, or take the quite often quoted example of Fissmann, where you really build on two parallel business models. So I really believe kind of intrapreneurship / next-gen, it's really an opportunity.
Another question here.
Thank you. Peter, I know you did a lot of think tanks with very good people to come up with all the ideas for a new book. Could you briefly explain what is FQ stands for, and why is this tool so important for all families to develop their task and their challenges for future transformation?
So FQ stands for Family Future Group, and I talked about the 18 challenges. And in the book, they are described. After each chapter, you have to decide for your family which is the most relevant one, or which are the most relevant ones out of the book. You have to go for 6. And if you take 6, you can build a cube. That's why we talk about the Family Future Cube. And the book is built as a cube as well. And so the family is encouraged to really go for the 6 main trends that are most relevant for them, and really focus their strategy on these 6 trends.
Thank you so much. Is there another question? I would be curious if, well, you mentioned, for example, Fissmann, you mentioned Haber. Are there any of favorite examples that you have that you would name, be it a client, be it not client, of a family business that has really successfully reinvented itself?
I would say, when I mentioned Fissmann already, that's definitely one that has reinvented itself, and it was a perfect combination. Martin Fissmann, who became the family business owner of the year 2 years ago, his son working for Boston Consulting, a couple of years in the digital space, then joining the family business, building a kind of startup initiative internally, and not going just for really heating, but really building a digital home platform for the clients and being the platform owner. And that's, for me, really one of the leading examples, definitely.
Okay, great. Is there another question? I have another one. I'm curious, I'm sometimes missing, I know startups will maybe found their own company with the idea of doing an exit at some point, but I'm wondering, shouldn't we also raise a generation of the first to be of a new family business to come? And that is something that is not very often mentioned, but I would love more startups to actually say, yeah, no, I'm actually not really looking for an exit. I want to have a very modern, a very digitized family business that I'm passing on to my kids and my family.
Yeah. So again, very good question, and I believe the answer can be in a maybe unexpected combination. You mentioned the startups quite often looking for exit, making money, and then not a really intergenerational family business. On the other hand, we do have the old family businesses, and who question can we really survive? For them, it might be better to really sell the business after 3 or 4 generations, take the money, build a family office, invest, for example, in startups, and kind of but then keep the startup founder in the business, do it together, kind of train them in the philosophy of family businesses. And that's another trend we describe in the book. Maybe you define family and generations in the future differently than today. It's not blood relation, but it's really kind of you are related by the same idea. And that could be startup founder, old family business, invest together, educate each other. The one teach technology, the others teach really intergenerational idea transfer. And that might be another trend in the future.
Very true. I mean, the very term of an incubator means really breeding, right?
Yeah.
Breeding something, and you could also not raise a child in a way, but raise a new inherit to your company.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, we have only 10 seconds to go, so thank you so much, Peter. That was very inspiring, very interesting.
Thanks.
And thank you guys for listening.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day.